Uh-oh. 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 Oh, no, Junior! Okay, so some bad decisions were made, but in the long run, it's only grass. It'll grow back. But we did get the truck loaded down with some aluminum that we had laying up in my scrap pile. Hopefully I got enough to get some money to buy the parts that we need to finish putting the Corvette engine together so we can get the race car together here. Hopefully, once we get the parts, it shouldn't take very long to have the car together and drivable. We still will have to get the exhaust done and things like that, but I might be able to rig something up just to get going temporarily. But we're going to go up here and see what we can't get out of the scrapyard or give to the scrapyard to get some money. And hopefully it works out in our favor. So
2,000 years later.
Hi, welcome to the Lad Racing YouTube channel. We're on a budget build right now of putting a Corvette engine together for our street stock. We're doing it on a low budget, so we got lucky, and when we pulled the engine out of the Corvette, we found out that it had flat top pistons that were zero to the deck, so that's a bonus to doing this engine. And plus, a few friends of ours, or friends of mine, has helped with heads and cam and a few little knick-knack things, and then we got most of the parts, or the rest of the parts that we didn't need come in finally, so we're going to try to put this thing together, I guess, vice grip garage style, I don't know. So, one of the first things we're going to do is, this is the cam that's going in. We're going to kind of clean it up a little bit because it's been sitting, at least in the packaging, since, zoom in here, get it a little better light, but you can see February 28, 2007. That's the date on the newspaper. And just so you wonder where it come from, Los Angeles. Don't know for sure if that's exactly where these guys are from, but hold on a second. Let's look at the box. Santa Monica, Calif. It's communist cam. Either way, we're going to kind of clean it up a little bit before we put it in. Put some lube on it to slide it in place. That's the first thing we're going to start with on this project, because ultimately I want to put the top end together before I worry about the bottom end, because there's really not a lot to do on the bottom end, but I'd rather have the bottom open in case something gets dropped in for it to go through than have it all closed up and have to worry about draining the oil pan, cleaning it and all that. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to clean this cam up and get it slid in real quick, and hopefully we'll have somewhat of an engine together today. Okay, well, we got the new thump back in the engine there. Just use some light lithium grease on it. A lot of guys say use cam lube, but according to Google and everybody on Google, this stuff right here is good enough for it. So that's what we use to slide the cam in. Before we put the front timing chain cover on, we got a new all steel or aluminum, I don't know, it's metal timing chain gear set. The old factory one, unfortunately, you can look in there real close, you can see the gears itself are actually plastic. That's no bueno. Not when you're going to be pushing them as hard as I plan on pushing it. Well, I'm not going to push it as hard as some, but guess what? That's where that one goes. Okay, well, we got the cam in, got the gears on. I don't have a puller, so I couldn't get the bottom sprocket off. I shouldn't say gears, I should say sprocket. I couldn't get all that off, so went ahead and just going to reuse the old one. It's not really worn that bad. Progress. We got our lifters in. Timing chain covers on, and no, we're not putting no fancy paint on nothing. We're just going to leave it looking like it just came out of a junkyard. That's my goal anyway. we got both heads on, torque down, got the push rods, rockers, valve lash set for at least initial startup. Everything had to be rechecked again. We still need to put new plugs in because, well, the old plugs were, I really don't know, they were like the cheapest plug you could find on the market. So we got to get the intake on. We just put the serpentine pulley back on here. The intake needs to get put on. So I guess let's get this thing ready to go. Well, as you can see, top end is mounted, bolted down. Hopefully right, don't know. Well, we won't know until we get it fired up. But either way, we got intake on, it's cranked down. There's no way of me getting in on these bolts to get an accurate torque spec on them, but we tightened them down until my elbow popped. That's about 25 foot-pounds or so. So we went ahead and tightened them down. Like I said, the heads are torqued down. Valve lash is set. You can see we got some play in the rockers here. Only thing we need to do now is flip this baby over and we get that new shiny Moroso oil pan and oil pump set up on the bottom side. Then we can put some oil to it and see how we're going to work here with the oil system. So we're going to get this flipped over and try to get the oil pan on there and see what we end up with. Alright, so we got the engine flipped over. Got the gaskets just kind of set in place. You can see we got some Play-Doh on the pickup tube for the oil pump. What we're going to do is set the oil pan. See that nice shiny sucker? We're going to set it on like we would and press it down like we're tightening it down on the engine to check, make sure we got the right clearance on the pickup tube there. And that's what the purpose of the Play-Doh is a measuring device. So we're going to check it and see. Okay, so the goal was to have about a 1/4 inch of gap on the Play-Doh, and that's pretty close what we got. Make sure you, if you do this, wrap the pickup tube, the screen on the pickup tube up in cellophane or something so you don't plug it up with Play-Doh, obviously. But we're going to get this oil pan on and hopefully get some oil in it and we're going to make a homemade tool to pump up oil pressure. So. Okay, any luck? New oil pan don't leak because some people design things that probably shouldn't design it, and that oil pan was kind of a pain to get on because you couldn't quite get the wrench on some of the bolts all that great. So I think we're about to a point we're going to spin an oil filter on there. And I think we can put some oil in it. We're not going to put the valve covers on just yet. Probably won't put them on until after it's in the car, but you know, once again, we're probably going to use the 383 valve covers, which are on the other side of the creepers here. It's kind of tucked away there. We're going to have to wrap some parts off of it anyway. But either way, we're going to probably use those valve covers because the crankcase filters are both on the left side versus the right side, which a car going hard left is going to throw everything to the right, and we don't want all of our oil coming out of over here. So call me a dadgum lizard. Didn't have to get the minnow trap out and call a lizard. Check that out. Here, lizard, lizard, lizard. If you're only smart enough to get out, I wouldn't have to do this. Figured it out the other day. We've had this old bad boy for about 6 years and finally had our first mechanical issue with it. So we got our pliers. We gotta jump the old solenoid. Guess we gotta put the battery on there. like that. Got it going again. Well, if you guys seen my last shop video, it was titled, I probably shouldn't be doing this. Well, those that don't know, this is my first time of digging this deep in on a V8 engine by myself. And, well, it's been a learning experience. And last night, about cut my thumb off. Luckily, I got quick reflexes. It's making a tool that goes down into the distributor shaft there, and it goes down and connects to a piece on the oil pump down right there. That turns the oil pump. Or let's say you can take a screwdriver or something and turn it, or you know, there's numerous different methods of doing this, but what my idea was is I took an old distributor apart, you know, stripped the shaft down to nothing. Obviously I can't find it right now, but hence the reason why I got my thumb was because the rotor bug was actually seized onto that shaft because it hadn't been taken off in so long. So I was trying to cut it off with a sawzall. Sawzall slipped, got my thumb. Luckily it ain't worse than what it is. You know, lots of blood. So I gave up last night at that point, but I did discover that the shaft would not reach the oil pump. It was too short, and I was like, what in the world? So I went and got this distributor, which came out of the Corvette originally, and this distributor, which I ran on, I forgot which race car, probably at least the modified and the old Leafer, but either way, I tried both of them. None of them would hit the oil pump, so got to asking, and well, come find out, there's a piece missing. And a couple guys told me, well, you're missing this shaft. Well, I found it. It wasn't in the engine where it's supposed to be. It was in my oil pan down there. Don't mind that plate. I'm not going to run one. Not really a necessary thing, but needless to say, this needs to go in the engine. So luckily, we didn't tear it apart. I was worried about that. So we're going to get this set in there, or try to anyway, and hopefully be able to turn it and get some oil pressure built up. About the shaft, this is what we got. Put it on a drill, probably spin it up a little bit. That's just like a running engine right there. All the RPMs. We don't have a full battery, but so we're going to give it a shot, trying to get a little bit of oil pressure up to the top of the top of the heads, and hopefully it works. I did me kind of a redneck, roughed up way of testing oil pressure, and as you can see here, we took just a standard oil pressure gauge. That's out of one of the older cars. I think it was modified. Either way, we took this gauge, kind of did a redneck setup here. I don't have quite all the right fittings, so it leaks like crazy, but just with the drill on low setting, we got 40 pounds of oil pressure with it leaking, but we got oil coming up through the top of the cylinders, well, up through the push rods and all that. So that's a good sign. I guess next we need to go ahead and dress the front of the engine, get the water pump on, and get the right pulleys and all that fun stuff on, because if we don't have a water pump, we don't have nothing cool going through the engine to keep it running right. So I guess that's the next step, go on through and do that. So as it turns out, hold on a second. There we go. Had a finger smudge on there. We're going to end up robbing the water pump off the 383 along with the bottom pulley. I got a starter. We'll probably take the thermostat housing. I do have a starter, brand new reman starter in a box. Pretty much same starter that we got on here. It is a stock mini high torque starter, which obviously probably won't need it on the Corvette engine, but on an engine like this with high compression, like I said, this has tall domes on it, so it's a little higher compression than stock, so you'll need a little more torque to get them fired. So I got one, the spare one is actually the replacement for the one that came off this one. I was in a bind and ended up getting it, but either way, I got a starter for that engine over there already, sitting over there in a box right there. I got a brand new water pump, but it's not the right one to work with the pulley system that I have, so we're going to steal this water pump. The power steering pump's got to come off. Of course, we're going to get the valve covers and the nice shiny chrome peeling thermostat housing too, and probably the water restrictor out of there. That's just a list of things that we're going to steal at the moment. I'm sure there's more, but that's what we got here at the moment. There we go. We got the front all dressed up like it's ready to go to a Christmas dinner. As far as the engine itself goes at the moment, really there's not much more I can do or should need to do to it right now. We will need to get some studs to mount our carburetor adapter. We could probably technically just bolt the carburetor straight up. I run a 1-inch adapter plate, and I don't think it's modified out. I think this is actually set up for a 2-barrel or 4-barrel on this intake, but I run the adapter plate, like I said, or I run a 1-inch spacer plate, let me put it that way, to help the carburetor perform a little better. You can see here, that's a spacer plate I run. Then you got the adapter plate up here, and that's how I'm set up to run. So I need to get some carburetor studs to mount in there, and on top of that, that will help, you know, when I put my plate on, lift the engine up, set it down, all that stuff. And another thing, my one floor mount is in use right now. So that doesn't give us many options as far as getting the transmission bolted up without mounting it up, just leaving it hanging on a cherry picker, which isn't ideal, but I can make it work. Once we get transmission and all that bolted up, we should be able to technically set the engine up in the car, or bring the car back in here and set the engine in it, not up on it. We won't get very far just setting the engine on the car. We want it in the car. That's about it. I gotta put the starter on. The starter goes right down there, and as far as I can tell from building the oil pressure, I didn't have any leaks coming out of the top. I got some back here from getting the little shaft that I made in and out. As far as anything else, I really won't know much on the leaks until we get it up and running. I don't think we're going to have much issue. I've already set the valve lash according to the specs that I got with the cam. So I think that's about it. Hopefully next time you guys see us, we'll be setting this thing back in the Intimidator, and hopefully be going out to the track with it here before too long. Now, I know this is a drawn out process, but hey, when you're a poor man working with what you got and when you can get it, this is what you get. You know, unfortunately, I don't run a lot of big sponsors, and I'm not the type of guy to want to go out and ask the sponsors for money until I have something to sell them. And well, hopefully in a few weeks I'll have something to sell and maybe recoup some of the money to buy some upgrades. But I guess we're going to go ahead and close this out. Come back, check us out again. If you haven't seen it, go check out the paintball video. A little entertaining, a little bit different from normal go around this place. So I guess we're going to go ahead and close out. So God bless you. We'll catch you later.